This is the 3&D podcast.
Welcome back to the 3&D podcast, where we discuss all things NBA in 30 minutes or less. I'm your host, Justin Genus, and I'm here with Brendan Murphy and Zachary Genus. And today we're going to discuss LABron, the BoogieBomb, and the ripple effect that's going to have all across the league. What was you guys' first reaction when you heard about DeMarcus Cousins to the Warriors?
That's crazy, man. Actually, it's funny because like at this point, actually, my opinion has changed. But when I first heard, it was almost like that denial laugh you do. You know, it's like, all right, yeah. And that's like what it was like to me because honestly, the Warriors are looking like an all-star team in themselves. It should be the East, West, and then the Warriors. So it's crazy. I mean, that they got that signed. But honestly, I mean, what did you want him to do? I mean, he called them, and, you know, he got a cheap deal because they wasn't expecting him to call. And next thing you know, I mean, he might be the piece to make them the greatest team of all time if they're not already. Although I will say, you know, his value, obviously, coming off of that Achilles injury is not as high as it should have been. So.
Yeah, and we'll get into all of that later. Zach, what was your first thought?
My first thought was DeMarcus Cousins, $5 million. I'm shocked that of all the players, Cousins is the one who did this. You know, I didn't realize he wanted a championship that badly. I thought he was someone who was more about the money. I guess I had
which
the
we
wrong
talked
read.
about in the last podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I had the wrong read on him, but yeah, it's a bit shocking. You know, I don't know what he's trying to prove, but one thing I do know is that LABron is not as significant as we thought it was before.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to go over these big free agency signings in the order that they happened. So, first off, perhaps almost as surprising as the boogie to the Warriors was Paul George signing with the OKC Thunder without even giving the Lakers a meeting. He expressed such a strong desire to go there just 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago. And then he didn't even think about going there. Or at least not really. What'd you guys make of that? Is it something with the Thunder? Is it something with the Lakers? Like, what was your reaction to that?
You know, honestly, I'm not that surprised about the way Paul George handled things. I did think he was gonna. I wouldn't have been surprised if he went to LA because that's what I thought he was gonna do based on the way he was talking. But I think he did all that talk just to kind of make noise and cause some commotion. But I think he knew what his decision was.
To clarify, which talking? Like back when he was
Talking
with the
about,
Pacers, or
even since free agency this offseason started.
Yeah.
He was saying stuff about dreaming about, or when he would grow up, dream about playing in a Lakers jersey and all that. I just think I'm not that surprised that he handled things that way.
Yeah, as a Lakers fan, I was just I was disappointed. I couldn't believe that he signed so quickly and for so long. It just seemed like he got like someone just swept him out from under our feet without even giving us a chance. Brendan, how do you feel that this signing affects the whole narrative that superstars don't want to play with Westbrook? Because George continues to cite Westbrook as a huge reason why he's going back.
To me, I think he was in full intent to go back to LA, and I think that the people of Oklahoma City and Westbrook, like, he just felt like he belonged there. And I've heard from a bunch of other people that, you know, if he went to LA with LeBron, right, success would be given to LeBron and failure would be given to his supporting cast, which would be Paul George.
That's a good point.
I didn't think about
that. In LA,
that.
I mean, in OKC, he gets all the credit for the success and is going to be probably not the first guy everybody blames.
Yeah, Westbrook's a scapegoat there no matter what.
Westbrook, exactly.
So is that a
That's a good point.
would you say that's a knock on Paul George? Are you saying he's afraid of the would you say that means he's afraid of the bright lights, or is he just
Well,
looking out for number
I
one?
like to knock on Paul George because I frankly don't, I don't love him. But although I will say that I think the move that he made was the smart move. I liked what he did, although it hurts for LeBron because now LeBron is against a five-headed monster by himself, and I don't want to see that. But
Well,
it's
would
how
that
it is.
I mean, this five if Paul George doesn't make that move, does this so-called five-headed monster with the Warriors even exist? I don't think so. I think the Lakers would have been more aggressively pursuing Boogie because they would be fully confident in their ability to win now.
Well, they're not going to get Kawhi, okay? The truth is the Spurs want, what, like, they want Ingram, Hart, Kuzma, and a first-round pick for 1 year when he's going to go there anyway next year.
I
But at the
think they're
same time,
grandstanding.
but then they waste year 16 of LeBron James. So I don't think they can honestly win right now, the Lakers, because you can't overpay for someone you're going to get in a year. But you also can't waste LeBron's year, and you're going to do that, I think, both ways.
Well, yeah. Well, with that in mind, let's move on to the Lakers and their let's say interesting free agency strategy. They've been signing a lot of guys to 1 year deals. No surprise there. They want to keep their space for next season. But Rajon Rondo, Lance Stevenson, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, that I don't think anybody thought that was the direction the Lakers were gonna go. I mean, at least the first thing
Well,
that comes
I
to
don't
mind
like-
is
I don't
that's
like the
not a lot
Rondo
of
move.
shooting.
Well, yeah, I don't like the Rondo move. I think off the bench, you need somebody to score the basketball. And you have Lonzo. I mean, Lonzo and Rondo cannot play together on the same court. So you're basically saying he is my backup point guard. And I don't think there's enough offense there. I really just don't.
I don't mind. I don't mind the Rondo move as far as what it brings. Because if you look at Lonzo and Rondo, they're actually extremely similar players. But I just don't get how that fits in with a LeBron team, because LeBron's teams are generally built around shooting, and
Right.
I just don't. It seems to me, especially with it coming out now that the Lakers didn't even they had a chance to offer Boogie a similar deal and to what he got from the Warriors, and then they didn't.
Well, the way
Instead
the Warriors
opting to
literally
choose-
can't lose, so
Like, it seems to. I guess their justification is that win now doesn't work with Boogie because Boogie is injured, but giving him a chance to get acclimated, even if it's late in the season, makes perfect sense to me. I would give him a $10 million contract. I probably would have given him a $20 million contract before I signed Lance Stevenson.
Yeah. A few people can find the open man like LeBron. But a few of those people, or a couple of those people, are Lonzo Ball and Rajon Rondo. So to put LeBron on your team and then to sign Rondo, I'm not
I
sure
just don't get that move.
where they're
I don't
going.
understand that move. And they pay him $10 million.
Right.
Well, that's a
no.
1 year deal, so that's not that to me. The numbers aren't that big a deal because I guess they weren't considering signing Boogie. I think I thought, didn't you guys think that when they signed Rondo they were gonna go right to Boogie next because Boogie and Rondo enjoyed playing together so much?
I never thought Cousins was in the picture. I thought he was just going to re-sign with the Pelicans.
And I mean, he had a chance to do it.
So with all this, like, how much were the Pelicans like looking to pay DeMarcus Cousins?
Reports have come out that the Pelicans offered him a 2-year, $40 million contract early before they offered it as an extension. So Cousins, what that says to me is Cousins was about the money at first. He was expecting to get a max contract from somebody, which not reasonable considering his the severity of his injury. But he is still the best center in the league.
So
or at least
he gave up $15 million a year.
yeah,
Wanted rent.
because I guess the Pelicans probably pulled that offer when he didn't accept it at first, and they went after Randall. So he was like, if you saw his tweet, he says, "This is my chess move. This was my ace of spades." I think he thinks that he was being really smart or really clever by pulling this out of his hat.
Except anybody and their mama could have thought of this to win a championship.
Yeah, I think it almost makes it seem like he doesn't care that much about the championship. He just cares about spiting the rest of the league for not offering the money he felt like he deserved.
Which nobody's going to feel because he's going to get 10 points a game on 20 minutes a game.
To start. But you do bring up a good point, Brendan.
On the bench.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Personally, I don't think the big thing about this is that the Warriors got a whole lot better. Obviously, Cousins is super talented. He's the best offensive center in the league by, I'd say, a wide margin. Maybe Nikola Jokic is the only guy even in the conversation. But I don't see what he brings to the Warriors on offense besides shooting. They already have great post passers, which is the real reason the Warriors use the post. The only thing I think he helps with is that he can punish the Rockets in the playoffs if they switch on him, and that's assuming he's able to compete on defense.
Well, I think Cousins is going to provide another option. Sometimes the Warriors are off, their shots just aren't falling. And we've seen what Cousins can do down low when he wants to. We've seen Cousins drop 40, 45 points just on any given night, while providing great rebounding, and he's just a powerhouse when it comes to a big man in a league that doesn't really cater to them.
Yeah, I guess to me the only team that the Warriors should even by signing Cousins, I think the most important thing that comes out of signing Cousins is that the Lakers can't sign him. So now the only team they even have to think about, really, at least for this season, is the Rockets. I mean, sure, there is no other team in the West that can really build a competitive team.
That's the big thing here to me. Because a lot of people are saying, the Rockets would have won had Chris Paul not been injured. And I'm one of those people, but I think it would have been really close, right? The real thing here is that if the Warriors really are that much better, well, the Rockets just lost their shot at the chip with the best team they're going to ever have, at least in the next decade. So that might be a big deal for them.
Yeah, exactly. To me, it's just the Warriors made this move in an effort to prevent the formation of another super elite, all-time great super team. More so than to significant. And to me, there's a cap on how good you can get. I don't see how this.
I said that though when Durant joined, and I was wrong.
Yeah, well, with Durant, they were inserting him into Harrison Barnes' role. So even if Durant didn't do all this amazing stuff as an isolation player, he's still just a significantly better shooter than Harrison Barnes is. So I'm not saying that the Cousins doesn't add a whole new dynamic to this team. I'm just suggesting that people, as far as saying that this move is the one that broke the NBA or whatever, I think that's an overreaction, exaggeration.
Well, this would have never happened had DeMarcus not been injured. So, yeah.
Yeah, he would have gotten max offers everywhere.
I just think that on those nights when the Warriors can't hit their shots, on the rare nights when Durant is cold, Cousins is going to be a big factor, and he's going to win them a few of those games.
Yeah, well, that sounds like even that though, that sounds like a mostly regular season problem. In a playoff series, the Warriors can afford to have one or two cold nights because in the NBA, the best team tends to win in a playoff series, bar injuries.
And and let's take it back to. Now, obviously, they didn't have Durant at this point, so it's just even less of a problem. But say Draymond gets suspended. Now you have someone to. Obviously, Cousins can't do all the things that Draymond could do, but now they'll have the Cousins Curry pick and roll, where they had Curry Green, and they'll have Cousins getting boards
And you know what I saw?
Inside.
Apparently, even though Cousins is no doubt a minus on defense, because he rarely focused.
He's not a minus.
I'd say he's against the Rockets, especially against the Rockets. I'd say he's a minus. But specifically in the situation I saw, and this is one of the few analytic type stats that I really buy into. Cousins was in the top 20 in deflections per game the past 2 years. Deflections are a sign of activity. So maybe even if Cousins is not the best at positioning or one-on-one defense, when he's focused, and I think he will be highly motivated this season, he can be a very active defender and somewhat disruptive. So to me, it does push the Warriors over the edge, but mostly because other teams can't have him.
I think that's a valid statement.
So how do you guys feel the NBA, what do you think the NBA commissioner and the owners are going to have to do to prevent something like this from happening? Because I know for a fact that owners like Dan Gilbert, coaches like Greg Popovich, are not a fan of this move. It hurts. Most people would say it hurts the competition level of the game, and me personally, I think that a player-driven league should be driven by player mobility and player choice. Even this has reached a point that it's a little ridiculous.
Well, I think the problem with it, I think the biggest problem is it hides appreciation. Like, we have so much appreciation for like Steve Kerr and all these individual players in the Warriors, when in reality, Steve Kerr isn't. I don't think he's a very good coach. And you know, you look at guys like Greg Popovich, who are considered the best coach in the league. They've lost appreciation over the last couple of years, along with other superstars, you know, because the Warriors and the like have haughty attention, and it just stinks because there's no appreciation for all these great players that we have. And then we talk about finals records like with LeBron James. We don't talk about the fact that he's playing 5 All-Stars in the finals. So.
Yeah, but what do you think more specifically? Let me clarify my question. Do you think that there's going to be any legislation or rulemaking that goes into preventing something like this from happening again? And what would be the rule you'd make if you wanted to stop this from happening?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can. I think there's always going to be a player that's going to give up a ton of money to win a chip the easy way. And to me, that's what Cousins did. I don't think we've seen this before, and to this extent, you know. We've seen some veterans take less, like Tim Duncan, but a prime player, I don't remember the last time we saw something like this, so I don't know how much you can do.
How about you, Zach?
I just don't think that's the way to go about it. I don't think there is a way to go about it, except to hope that at some point, you know, players
stop wanting to be buddy.
Yeah, I mean, that just seems like the only way. I don't think you can just take away their freedom.
Well, I've got a rule proposal that I think would totally shut this down. It's not hard. If you're an all-star in the previous season, you can't take a mid-level exception, because the Warriors were over the cap, so they only had their mid-level exception, their veterans minimum, and etc. So think the specific moves that are designed to let teams fill out their rosters. No all-star should be able to take all-star in the previous season should be able to take such a small amount of money. It's just that simple. You get rid of this mid-level exception, or if they do,
if you have an injury. If you have an injury, that's the only problem, is now you have to compensate for that, because you can't force any team to pay him. and the next thing you know, he's a free agent.
But the Pelicans did want to pay him. The Pelicans were totally willing to pay him. So to me, if you add this mid-level exception rule and veterans minimum and similar things, it prevents good teams like extremely good teams or teams that haven't been wise with their money. So the Thunder, for example, who have set the luxury tax record, by the way, after re-signing Raymond Felton today.
Wait, how much did he sign for?
I don't even know, but they're over $300 million on payroll now. It's insane.
That's insane.
But it prevents super good teams from who have maxed out the cap, because you have to max out the cap to be good. It prevents them from making a move like this where they can just sign another all-star for much less than the player's worth. Why do you guys think? I mean, and I don't think Cousins realizes just how much, with the new CBA collective bargaining agreement coming up, how deadly it could be to their negotiations and player freedom that he did something like this. If there's a reason LeBron and Chris Paul never take less money. As the president and vice president of the Players Association, they realize that if they start doing stuff like that, owners will get mad and they'll play hardball, and it makes it just much more difficult for them to truly control their destinies in future seasons. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to episode 5 of the 3&D NBA 3&D podcast. Excuse me, episode 4. Really feel like we're starting to get in a rhythm here as far as our recording. Our sessions are going a lot better than they were before. So there will be no bloopers and outtakes. I might even end up having to do that monthly if we continue at this rate as far as recording well. Hope you guys like the new thumbnails and the intro. It's cheesy, I know. It's a work in progress, but I plan to have a video intro within the next couple weeks. I will be out of town next week. I'm going to summer camp at my church. It's the best time of the year, but I don't have access to the internet there, so I will not be posting. Next episode will probably come out then in 2 weeks from today when the summer league is over. That'll probably be the last episode of what I'm going to call our first news cycle, our off-season news cycle. Thanks so much for listening. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And enjoy the summer league. It's if you've looked on our Twitter, you'll see that I'm really enjoying watching it, and I feel like it's a great opportunity for fans, especially of those teams that haven't been so good in the past in recent years, to get a feel for what their players are going to be like, as well as to see just how much these second-year players have developed. So, with that said, I'll see you guys next time, or talk to you guys next time. Gosh, Boogie's on the stinking Warriors.